Johannesburg is a migrant city, a transient city. South Africa has approximately 3 million foreign-born migrants, roughly 5% of the population. About half of these people settle in Gauteng, home to the city of Johannesburg. 1 in 10 people in the province come from outside of South Africa, mostly from somewhere else on the continent. We always hear how Africans are moving in droves to Europe. But did you know that only 20% of Africans actually leave the continent? Majority move within it, and a lot of them end up in Johannesburg. I know because I've done a lot of research about migrants, particularly African women who, like me, moved to Johannesburg from other parts of the continent. I talked to many of them, and I put their stories in a book. There are a lot of assumptions people have about African migrants, but I wanted people to understand the full story. I wanted them to see beyond the data. I wanted them to not just hear stories of women like Fazila, Sibongile, Jeanette, Hannah, and Florence. I wanted them to feel the stories. I wanted to move from the census to the senses.
Welcome to Hillbrow. You will find your people here. Fazila gathered herself and stepped tentatively into the commotion on the streets. She blinked as her eyes adjusted to the light.
The stories are about women's journeys to Johannesburg and the families, friends, and the countries that they left behind. They talk about wanting to find work, wanting to find love, and make a future for themselves and their families, and about the challenges of rebuilding their lives in a foreign place. Through their stories, we see the loud, vibrant, sometimes scary city of 5.5 million people. I never thought that these voices would be heard by 500,000 people in Venice. How did we get there? It was a storytelling collaboration with a composer from South Africa, an artist from Ghana, and a pianist from South Africa. And myself, a sociologist who studies cities in the global south and the people who live in them. So what started as a book project turned into a composition. The composition turned into a performance. The performance turned into a series of artworks. And all of this put together turned into an exhibition at La Biennale Architettura di Venezia. The Biennale is the largest exhibition about architecture in the world and is held every 2 years in Venice. We were invited for a series on gender and geography to show how African women move, shape, and impact the spaces that they traverse. Through the music, composer Clare Loveday and pianist Mareli Stolp created a soundscape of jolts and spoken word. To create maps, Awo and I used research data collected by Wits University's African Center for Migration and Society about migrants in Johannesburg. We then visualized this data onto traditional African fabrics. We used the East African kanga, the Southern African shweshwe, and the West African kente. What's special about these fabrics is that their bright patterns celebrate events or carry proverbs. When Obama became US president, there was a kanga to celebrate him. Kente colors also carry different meanings. For example, gold is for prosperity, yellow is for fertility, green for renewal. And each pattern is a message. The image of a rising sun symbolizes vitality. A heart symbolizes patience and tolerance. Awo also created artworks for the walls of the exhibition. Those told stories of raising children, of retirement, and of hopes for a better future. That way we showed stories of where migrants in Johannesburg are from and where their families live.